Hello, I'm Hannah, and this is Hannah's Books. This is my last weekly rambles in the month of Victober 2020, and for this video I want to celebrate this wonderful month by sharing some of my favorite Victober videos posted by other booktubers. If you've been watching my videos this month, you know that I've been starting each of these Victober weekly rambles videos with two special features. I've been recording in some sort of Victorian outfit or a Victorian adjacent outfit. Last week I was the fortune teller from Jane Eyre, partly to celebrate the fact that I was just about to begin my reread of Charlotte Bronte's book. This week I'm Jane herself, complete with a cheap costume bonnet with the ribbons glued on, but which I want to doctor a bit and wear regularly. I'm pairing it with a beautiful wool cape, which my father brought home from Ireland many years ago as a present for his mother. When she died, the cape was passed on to me. I think it deserves a better bonnet than the one I'm wearing. Perhaps my son, a young man with an extraordinary ability to craft things, can take up millinery and help me make one. But this one will have to do for now. In addition to wearing timely attire, I'm starting each of these weekly rambles videos by telling you about the tea I'm drinking that day. This idea is copied directly from the excellent booktube channel Taking Tea with Catherine, a great booktube channel which I will link to below. This week, in honor of Jane Eyre, as well as my Irish cape, I'm drinking a plain but strong tea, Irish breakfast, which has long been one of my very favorite teas. This particular version was from my autumn tea haul, ordered from Harney & Sons, which I'll link to below. And I'm drinking my tea from a Jane Eyre mug, one which looks like an old orange penguin cover. So, as I said, today I want to share some of my favorite Victober videos from this month with you. Let me first confess that I am way behind on watching videos. Last month I was so committed to trying to catch up on watching the videos of all the new booktubers I had discovered that I missed some of my old favorites, and on top of that I was terrible about replying to my own comments, even though I enjoyed reading them enormously. This month, I've been much better about replying to the comments on my channel, and on top of that, I've committed to put closed captions on most of my current videos. The price of that is that I have not yet watched many of the Victober videos I have in my saved folder, and even for videos I watched and loved, I often haven't left comments. Please, if you especially want me to see one of your Victober videos and I haven't commented on it, feel free to mention the video and even link to it in the comments below. I would love to know, and I'm realizing that I will likely not make it through the saved folder now that all those nonfiction November TBR videos are on top of the older Victober videos. Thank you. Okay, on to some favorites from among the videos I have caught. First, as I hope all of you have seen, was the amazing Victober Choose Your Own Adventure series, The Fate of Jane Moore, put together by numerous creative booktubers and hosted over on Howe's channel. I've never seen anything like this project here, and it was a perfect way to begin the month. In the description box, I'll link to the first video in the adventure. From there, you'll be given a set of story choices, completely written in Victorian style by a set of these creators, and can decide how your version of the tale will progress. I played through a whole lot of different options and was just thrilled to see how these folks had all worked together to produce this excellent addition to Victober. As I said, the Jane Moore story is hosted over at Howe's channel. She has absolutely outdone herself this Victober with other amazing videos as well. I was very pleased to participate in a Zoom discussion of Jane Eyre that has now been uploaded to her channel, and I really loved her various George Eliot videos as well. Here, though, I want to call out her charming discussion with her husband. My husband guesses the synopses of Victorian novels. She goes through some of the books that have meant a lot to her in the past, and asks her husband David, a very good name for a husband incidentally, what he knows about them. Some books he's actually heard a bit of on audiobook. Some he's seen as a screen adaptation. And some he's just heard about as Kate was reading. What a pleasure to see how they interact with each other, the respectful way he's engaged with what she loves and knows. Just charming. Another video that features a booktuber's spouse is one made by Claudia at Spinster's library, reacting to negative reviews of my favorite Victorian classics. Bill reads one-star Goodread reviews aloud, many of which are really funny, and a few of which are pretty on target, and Claudia reacts, sometimes with laughter or shock, and sometimes with real consideration of the reviewer's arguments. Claudia and Bill make a great comedic duo, full of sarcastic but loving banter, and their cats are excellent additions as well. I shared both of these spouse videos, Kate's and Claudia's, with my own spouse, and I think we may have been inspired to put our own video together of some sort later on, probably not until December. And while you're over at Claudia's channel, don't miss her video about an academic paper about Victorian memes. Although it might sound like this is just purely a joke, the author claims that the sometimes formulaic or crystallized moral and value-laden language of Victorian novels is perfect for Twitter and the like, making the quotes sometimes even more Victorian than the originals. Fascinating. The next video I want to mention is Favorite Male Characters in Victorian Literature by Jennifer Brooks. Last year, Jennifer posted about her favorite female characters, and it was a video that has really stuck with me. If anything, this year's male characters video is even better. As she listed some of my all-time favorite leading men, I was nodding along until I got to Fred Vincy in Middlemarch. When I saw the video, I was just a couple of hundred pages into George Eliot's tome, and Jennifer assured me that as I saw Fred grow, I might change my mind. She was absolutely right. Go see if you agree with her choices. She's come up with a few that aren't the most immediately obvious choices, but she is really insightful and persuasive. Okay, the next several videos are about specific Victorian authors. The first is one of the many fantastic videos this month from Victober originator and host extraordinaire Katie at Books and Things. I was especially taken with her 13 and a half years of Elizabeth Gaskell. Katie talks about reading North and South for the first time when she was 13 years old, and then mentions that she recently ran across an email she wrote back then to a friend where she said the book was, quote, very old. Her comment about the book being very old was mirrored by the fact that her story made me feel very old. The idea of being 13 years old, only 13 plus years ago, well, it always amazes me when these brilliant, well-read booktubers remind me that they're really so young. Gives me hope for the world. As I'm sure you all know, Katie's favorite author is Charles Dickens, and her video Least to Most Favorite Dickens Novels gives a really fascinating update to her previous discussions. I love to see how readers change and grow over time. In this video, as opposed to her full multi-video celebrations from several years ago, Katie gives just the barest sketch of what the plot and themes of each book are. Her excitement about these books will definitely make you want to read them. Honestly, I haven't read a ton of Dickens yet, and in fact, I have not read any of her top 3 Dickens novels. I really must remedy that sometime soon. Well, while we're talking about Charles Dickens, I want to mention 2 more videos. First is My Reading Relationship with Charles Dickens by Tom Reads Things. I first discovered Tom as Victober started last year, and I was thrilled to see him participating again this year. He too considers Charles Dickens as one of his very favorite authors. Rather than ranking the books in order from least to most favorite, he talks a bit about how his reading has progressed over time. He, like so many of us, started with great expectations. A starting point, he argues, is a really good one, partly because the novel is in the first person, and partly because the book is engaging and not hugely long. I love the way Tom talks about characters he loves, and in fact some of what he says reminds me of what Jennifer Brooks says in her Victorian male characters video. I just love watching Tom hold up all his beautiful black spine penguin editions of the novels. I won't spoil his top favorite novels, but suffice it to say that he doesn't mirror Katie's list at all. I would love to see the two of them have a discussion video about their different perspectives. And while you're thinking about Charles Dickens, don't miss the great video Destroying David Copperfield, made by Charles Heathcote. In this video, Charles talks about deciding that he wanted to annotate the book to help him pull out ideas. He struggled with that idea of writing in his books over the years, valuing the physical book enough to refrain from marring the text. Charles wants to be more interactive, as he says, and his suggestion is to start practicing with a very inexpensive copy of the novel. Watching him go through the book over the course of his reading, we see more and more sticky tabs and bookmarks appear sticking out of the book. It was so much fun, as well as insightful, not just about the actual novel, but about the process of reading critically. Just excellent. The next author I want to mention is the author I fell in love with over the course of this month, and that is George Eliot. Last year, I read my first Eliot, Adam Bede, and I really enjoyed the novel. Honestly, I think I should read it again because I was trying to listen to it on audiobook while I was knitting a shawl, part of last year's Knit and Listen read-along. As I've mentioned many times on this channel, I'm not a great audiobook listener, and I eventually turned to the text to finish up. This Victober, I'm reading Middlemarch, and I have been blown away by how much I've loved it. It's now up there with Jane Eyre on my favorite books list. I was thrilled to come across Rick MacDonnell's video, 13 Thoughts About Middlemarch by George Eliot. What a thoughtful discussion of the book. I saw his video before I had read a great deal of the book, but immediately recognized that he was pointing to exactly the same things I found so powerful in George Eliot's amazing novel. As a person who does not mind spoilers at all, I watched his whole video, one which is very careful to make it easy to skip the one announced spoilery section, and I suspect his insights helped shape my reading experience in the end. Thank you, Rick, for your wise words. And speaking of George Eliot, I think I mentioned earlier that Kate Howe put several fabulous George Eliot videos out this month. A pair I have not yet watched, but have saved for a moment when I have knitting in my hands and a little downtime, is the two-part Zoom interview with representatives of the George Eliot Fellowship. If you're reading Eliot this month, or if you're an Eliot fan in general, these two videos sound really fascinating. Okay, on to one more author, Oscar Wilde. Two of my favorite booktubers, Tilly of Tilly's Shelf and Roz of Scally-Dabbling About the Books, have spent the year buddy reading assorted plays, having joint discussions, either in person or recorded at a distance when times require. The two phenomenal readers are daughter and mother. In honor of Victober, they had a lovely discussion of Oscar Wilde's An Ideal Husband. Although the particular play was not a huge hit with Tilly, luckily it sounds like she now has her own ideal husband. She and her beau just got married a few weeks ago. Like I said, with the interviews between Kate Howe and her spouse, as well as Claudia and her spouse, I really love watching booktubers talk with their family members. And Tilly and Roz set an amazing example, both here, but also in other videos where the other two members of their family also occasionally join in for some funny and charming and insightful bookish discussion. If you're looking for more from Tilly, check out her Victober video, Styling My Hair Like a Victorian Heroine. It definitely makes me miss my long hair. And if you're looking for more from Roz, don't miss Victober Cooking, Indian Influences and Victorian Housekeepers. First, it's wonderful to watch Roz cook, and I really wish I were there to taste her finished green tomato chutney. But most impressive is her discussion of two literary issues. One is how Britain's colonial project in India shaped life in England, and how readers can see that history, sometimes in fairly obscured ways, playing out in the pages of so many of our favorite British novels. Roz's other point is how prominent literary housekeepers are in Victorian fiction. She talks a little about their historical positions as well. Just a wonderful video. Don't miss it. All right, next I want to call your attention to 4 vlogs I especially enjoyed. First are the regular, more or less weekly vlogs made by both Doris at Alta Books and Rainey at Rainy Day Reads. I'll link to particular videos for each of them, but if you enjoy their styles as much as I do, you might really want to watch their other Victober vlogs as well. Rainey has been struggling a bit with some of her Victober reading, and I really appreciate her discussion about making decisions to put books aside if one is reading with other people or wanting to read all the books of a particular and perhaps particularly beloved author, etc. The charming combination of pleasure and guilt in her video about reading is wonderful. That must sound weird, but go watch and you'll see what I mean. The video from Doris that I think I'll link to starts with a gorgeous sunrise one morning and ends much later in the week with a conversation about Anthony Trollope on her porch. Both of these two women make videos that will make you feel like you're having maybe a cup of tea with them and chatting about what you've been reading. At this time when we're isolating, these very open and immediate and friendly vlogs are more important to me than ever here on BookTube. And there are 2 other bookish vlogs that have attracted my attention. One is Petra Yu's Victober Catch-Up and Snow in Lapland. She has a lovely conversation about Victorian books and some other novels as well over a cup of tea, but then shows us some amazing footage of beautiful Lapland where autumn leaves are gone and the ground is covered with snow. Beautiful. On the other weather extreme, you might enjoy one of Claire Clementine's vlogs. She's a brand new booktuber to me. She's quite young, still in high school, and she's spending some time with her family along the coast of South Carolina, where my family's from. Because of the pandemic, I haven't seen my mother or brother or other relatives who still live there, so it was quite lovely to get to spend a bit of time there with her video. Claire has been reading Agnes Grey during Victober and just picked up Elizabeth Gaskell. In her vlog, she also visits several independent bookstores and has some time to read on the beach. Stop over and give her some BookTube encouragement. There are a ton of other Victober videos by booktubers I love and by booktubers I don't even know yet, and I hope I can find time to squeeze in a few more. I'm also hoping that some of you will make roundups of your favorites, which might guide me a bit. Thanks for joining me today here on Hannah's Books. See you soon, maybe even tomorrow, with a bit of darker, spooky content for a day or two. Take care.